Good morning. My name is Larry Thornton and I'm the building official for the City of Monmouth. And today I'm going to give you a little guided tour of the major deficiencies of the building that you see behind us. I've worked for the city for 21 years and I'm acutely familiar with all the deficiencies that we currently have. Currently we are standing on the west side of the building. This sidewalk that you can see was replaced in 2005 in an attempt to shed water away from the building from the alleyway. As you can see right here, the company could not make full grade to the street, and during the winter time, this puddle always remains. We'll talk about this portion that you see right here when we go down to the basement. Now, along this edge, you'll see that there's caulking. This caulking was also put in to prevent water from shedding from the sidewalk into the basement. As you can see here, this is the sidewalk that we just spoke about. This is one of the offices that's on the south side of the building. And this sidewalk elevation could not be changed to be able to get full grade to the street to deflect the water, because you have to step down into the building. And because of this lower elevation of the floor, the sidewalk could not be raised up any higher to get total grade away from the building to the street. At this location here, you can see the south side of City Hall. And the reason that I'm here is to give you an idea of how the building, our City Hall building, is constructed. This building here, which has never had a veneer covering on it, is built the same way as what City Hall is built. And as you can see, this is old red clay tile, non-reinforced material. This type of material, it would not be able to uphold and stay up in the event of any type of seismic activity. So now we're going to move over to the south side of City Hall itself. And the south side of this building right here was the same as the one just to the west up until 2005. In 2005, we had this veneer put on to seal, in an attempt to try to seal the building from water leaks inside. And all of the grout on the other three remaining sides was repaired in an attempt to prevent water from coming in. Now, the building here itself, we've had 2 roofs placed on this building. And the reason for those roofs was that the building was leaking so much water to the inside on the second floor due to the roof, and on the first floor due to water coming in on this south wall. As you can see up here, there is only one drain off of the roof. And this drain has to deflect all the water during heavy rain season off the roof of the building. And because there's only one drain on the building, water will come out from where you can see that joint up there. And when it is raining very hard, water will be pouring off this side of the building. And even though we've placed veneer on the outside to fix this leak intrusion into the building and a new roof, the building still has major water leaks to the inside. I am currently standing in our finance director's office. It was just inside where we left off on the exterior building on the south side. As you can see here, this floor is wet. It's wet from whenever it rains really hard. Water comes in. Water comes in under this door where you can see it's really wet right here, but there's nothing really that can be done to fix this. We've tried this many times. Because of the elevation of the floor and because of the elevation of the sidewalk, even though we replace these seals, we still get water into the building. As you can see over here, this floor is currently wet. It has standing water on it. And the window right here, this window sill is wet from water coming in. As you can see here, the window here is fogged over from water, and this always happens due to so much moisture into this office. Now I want to point out these ceiling tiles here. These ceiling tiles were replaced new this past summer. And we thought we had the leaks into the building fixed, but as you can see here, they're all wet. And that is due to the rains and water coming into the building. This water damage here was very prevalent yesterday when it was raining hard and water was literally dripping on this windowsill and splashing onto the phone and onto our director's desk. Okay, we are currently upstairs in the city manager's office. As you can see right here in this window, there is currently water standing on this windowsill. That's because these windows leak. This is not the only one. There's many in the building that leak just to this same type of an area, this same area. They leak through the window seals, onto the window sills. Some of them leak a little higher than others, but this is what we have through this building, throughout this building. We're going to move over. We have storage area up here in the second level that needs to be addressed. And as you can see here, there's shelving that's been built. There's water stains on the ceiling. This is after a new roof, I might add. There's water that comes in around the south door that leads to a staircase that goes down. And as you can see right here, water comes in underneath the door that blows in because this is a south-facing door. The only furnace that's in this building is this one that you're going to see just to the left. Right here. This is the only one. And this only heats the upstairs and heats and cools the upstairs of the building only. Everything downstairs is either window units, space heaters, that kind of a thing. We have some storage over here. This additional. And as you can see here on the floor, it's wet from the stains. And I'd like to point out the ceiling area there where the water leaks in off of the drain and actually comes into the building. Okay, currently we are down in the basement. This wall is the west wall by the alleyway that I was talking about earlier, with a new sidewalk and caulking along the side of the building to try to prevent water from coming in. And as you can see down here on the floor, there is water standing. It is standing in many locations down here in this basement. And as you can see, there's been a little trench cut into the floor to direct the water as much as possible to a drain. And that drain comes back to the back of the building to a sump pump. And this sump pump has water physically flowing in through the bottom of the foundation from the alleyway that's to the west side of this building. This water flows almost year-round. Even in the springtime, water will be flowing, and if this sump pump fails, within a matter of a few days, water will accumulate into this basement, and it's been as high as 4 feet in this basement. If we pan and look to the north of this aisleway, you'll be able to see water standing on the floor. Water is on the floor in many locations. It comes all the way up this aisleway and gets about 1/2 to 1 inch in depth. Now this area here is used for storage of city records, which is required. Finance records, court records, building department records. And as you can see on this shelving, there's lots and lots of records that needs to be protected from damage. The lights, which we try to keep working as much as possible, needs to be on 24/7. If these lights go out, what ends up happening is mold starts growing on these boxes, and mold starts developing inside these records. And the reason for that is due to too much moisture in this building. We have, as I pointed out, on the west side of the building in the beginning, I said I was going to talk about something later when it is in the basement. And what that is it's a fan. And that fan is an attempt to try to keep the moisture level down in this basement area. So we'll move there and I'll show you that fan. As you can see up in this corner, this is the only fan that's in this basement that has access to the exterior of the building to try to move the moisture out of the basement area. It's pretty old, it's antiquated, and it's inefficient. And it is very difficult to keep that fan running. And it's been worked on and replaced many times in the past. But that's the only ventilation that we have in this basement. Now I'm going to bring your attention to one more area of the basement before we leave this area, and it has to do with additional water leaking into the basement itself. I am currently underneath the stairs that leads down into the basement, and what I'm going to point out is the foundation wall that's in this part of the building. And as you can see right down here, there's a patch, and this patch is to prevent water from coming in. This concrete is old and it's very soft. And this concrete has many leaks, and there's many of these patches along this side of the wall. And this is just a foam plastic to try to seal these water leaks. But as you can see right here, there's water that you cannot prevent from coming into the building. But underneath this staircase, it has about 1/2 inch of water all over. This wet area goes all the way to the front, the south side of this concrete wall, all the way to the back. It's wet, has lots of water under it. I am currently standing at the top of the stairs that leads down to the basement. As you can see, these stairs are very steep. The treads are very narrow, and it is very dangerous at times walking down these stairs if you're trying to carry something like all those boxes from finance, building, and court records. And as you can see right here, they're not only steep to come down, but if you look at my foot right here, it doesn't even cover the depth of my foot, which makes these stairs very dangerous, and they're totally non-code compliant. First off, as you can see right here, these working spaces and aisleways are very narrow, and they do not meet ADA requirements. As we move to the back of this area right here, you have to step up. This is inside City Hall. You have to step up to get to our break room area. And as we move around to the south side of the administrative offices, you're going to see the aisleway that leads to the north where the copier and everything is at and how narrow the aisleways are. As we move to the back of the room, we're headed towards the ladies' restroom. And when we get to the back here, at the ladies' restroom, you have to actually step down to get into the ladies' restroom. One of the deficiencies while we're in this area that I'm going to point out when it comes to mechanical, there is no fan in this bathroom. So it makes the area very difficult at times for employees to use. This is the staircase that leads upstairs. It leads upstairs to offices for planning, the city recorder, the city manager, and as you can see right here, if you look at my head, top of my head, how low this staircase is, how narrow the treads are, and how steep this set of stairs is. And this, at times, we've had people almost trip and fall down these stairs. We're going to go up to the men's bathroom. The same deficiency applies as the women's bathroom. There's no fan in the bathroom that makes it difficult at times for people to use due to lack of ventilation. And you have to actually step up to be able to use the water closet. This is totally non-ADA compliant. Okay, the next area that I want to point out as deficiencies in this building is the use of mechanical equipment, heating and air conditioning. As you notice over underneath this desk, there is a heater that is currently running because there is no HVAC system that supplies heat or air conditioning to the lower half of the building. And in the wintertime, it gets so cold in here that the ladies virtually cannot work unless they have little space heaters that is running to keep their feet warm. And these space heaters are virtually at every working position downstairs. Finance, court, building department, all have these space heaters. We're currently in the building department now. As you can see down here on the floor, there's an electrical cord. That electrical cord, during very cold times of the year, has to be strung from that outlet to go to that last working station that we were just seeing to plug that little heater in, and that has to be done to keep from blowing the circuit breakers on a constant basis from overload. As we come into the building official's office, you'll see that there's a space heater that is here and that there's a window air conditioner that is here because there is no heat and AC that virtually works in the lower half of this building. As you can see, I just made that step that goes up into our break room, and I'm going to lead you back to where the electrical panels are at. The electrical panels are here. And there's also another electrical panel that's inside this area here. The electrical has been divided up into 3 different panels because these panels are so old. You cannot get parts to replace these panels anymore. And the circuits on these, if you overload them just a little bit, they'll constantly trip these circuit breakers. One of the major problems that we have is we don't know where these circuit breakers go. What controls what? We've tried to track this down on many occasions to figure out what is running different outlets and components in the building. And we've got a lot of them tracked down, but we have not been able to figure out all of them. There's an electrical panel here. It's a little bit newer, but it's still an old Pushmatic type panel that was put in the 60s. As you can see, here's the ones we've made an attempt to try to figure out what it is. There's also another little panel that's inside the old safe that controls a lot of the lighting. And we won't go in there today, but there's a fourth panel that's there. And whenever we kick a circuit breaker, we have sometimes a difficulty in trying to track down which one needs to be reset to get the wiring up and running for the heat to come back on and for the computers to be able to be used and those kinds of things. And a lot of the wiring off of these old panels is what's called knob and tube. And knob and tube is very, very old. We're going to move back to one of the other locations and we're going to show some wiring and how it's highlighted in the building and the inefficiencies that we have there. We're back in the back part of the building, south into the building, next to the women's bathroom. And this is the aisleway that goes into the women's bathroom. And as you can see, all the wiring here is exposed. Where some wiring has been added over the years, internet, phone, those kinds of things that's been added to the building, and wiring is just basically hanging out everywhere. And this is one of the additional problems with the building. And as you'll see down here on the floor, where we have wiring that is just out and it's exposed, goes up and around. And if you look up on the ceiling, there's wiring that's up there. If you open up this little access door right here, there's wiring that's up there. Okay, we're about to end our tour of the deficiencies in the City Hall building. And the last couple of things that I wanted to point out is this is the south entrance into the building. And as you can see, this entrance is not ADA compliant. And we have issues with this. And if you look on the south side of the building where we have wiring that's hanging off of the building and coming in, this is another one of the deficiencies that's in the building. And you can see down here where the veneering is breaking away from the building. It is actually just falling away, and it causes additional water intrusion into the building. And as you can see right here, the corner of the material is flaking off. And this is another one of the areas where water will accumulate and get into the building at times. If you have any questions, you can call City Hall 503-751-0130. Thank you.